Did you know that CS2 agents have backstories? Even though we lost our beloved factions from older games, we still got many new agents with new stories. Some of them even have stories in old games as well, since they are the same agents. Just as a side note, we will only be talking about the master and superior agents because their backstories are just a bit more expanded. So let us start off with the superior agents first. And first in line is the agent called Rezan from the Saber faction. This agent has two skins. One is called Rezan the Ready with a dark pink jacket, and the other one is called Rezan the Red Shirt, and as the name suggests, he is wearing a red shirt. Now for the backstory, there's not a lot, but we know that he's an expert when it comes to explosive, and he is also an author of the book The Joy of Preparedness. Now just imagine that you're in war and an author of a book explodes your whole team. That just sounds crazy, but let's not get carried away. Rezan is also the self-appointed head of the operations for the Saber faction. Next up, we have the agent 2x McCoy, who also has two skins, with one being with a yellow scarf and the other one with the gray one. Now you may be wondering why he has the nickname 2x. This is because he completed a training course twice. This happened because of scheduling mix-ups, but he actually almost completed a third one, but he didn't because his teammates restrained him. Now, as a soldier, McCoy has an inhumane reserve of mental and physical stamina, so because of him being this beast, he is often the last man standing. Next up, we have First Lieutenant Farlo, who is wearing just an ordinary SWAT uniform. As an officer, she is one of the most beloved ones in the SWAT faction because she is very smart and extremely polite. But don't be fooled by her character because she is a master tactician in hostage and barricade situations. And if she sees a bad guy, she will finish him in a blink of an eye and won't even think twice about it. After that, we have Professor Shakmat, who is a bald guy who wears a camo scarf. Now, this guy's backstory is quite funny because he was a professor, and with every class he understood that his pupils didn't have the same revolutionary desires that he did. So he did what any logical person would do. He quit his job and decided to go plant on B-side with the elite crew faction. Next up, we have Randy Couture. Oh, sorry, I mean Aaron the Overgrown. He really looks similar to the legendary UFC fighter. And his story has something to do with fighting because he actually was a heavyweight boxer, but his career didn't go the way he planned. So he became an expert survivalist and a big game hunter. He always carried a flint stick and a sharpened hunting knife. Because of his skills, he was eventually noticed by the guerrilla warfare faction. They tried to recruit him but failed, and then they actually succeeded after threatening him. They just threatened to stop visiting him with fresh milk tarts every month. That is quite a strange threatening tactic, but it worked. After that, we have Lieutenant Rex Crikey, who is wearing this really cool hat. He is a SEAL frogman and he is the prime choice for all jungle and wetland combat operations. He is the prime choice because he can handle any reptile, big or small. That's how he saved his colleagues on one or more occasions. Next up, we have Capitan, whose face is unknown because he wears this helmet. He is the leader for the chemical and biohazard combat operations in populated areas, so he plays a crucial role within the GN organizations. Actually, he's very celebrated and respected because he successfully orchestrated the rescue of an entire domestic airport civilian occupancy in the infamous sarin gas attack of 1997. Now, this is actually a real-life event that happened in Tokyo in 1995, not in 1997, but nonetheless, that's a cool piece of info. Next up, we have a guerrilla warfare agent named Elite Trapper Soulman, who wears this cool Hawaiian t-shirt and those gold chains. Now his story is quite interesting because he was actually taken hostage by the guerrilla warfare while he was on an expensive vacation tour, and he was able to negotiate his own release with a deal that he would bring in 3 more hostages within 24 hours, and he did all of that while being armed with only money and his charm. Stunned by his lack of empathy for his fellow tourists and his ability to deliver a steady supply of people, the faction negotiated a position for Soulman among them, taking the highest percentage of hostage money of any member of the guerrilla warfare. Then we have the Black Wolf from the Sabre faction, who's wearing the stylish jacket and has glorious long hair. His story is quite short. All we know about him is that he was raised in deep forests of Eastern Europe who was really good at stalking his enemies. So an average Eastern European. After that we have Michael Cyphers, who is a sniper for the FBI. He used to be an ex-Division 1 athlete, but his career was cut short after a gruesome knee injury. So he decided to join the police force, and after that the FBI recruited him. Even when his life was so challenging, he found a way to be positive. Next comes the safecracker Volman. She's from the Professionals faction, who in my opinion are the coolest faction in the game. This agent looks like a badass. She has pink hair and a neck tattoo. She is known to be quite weird, quirky, and a bit unhinged as a person. Those are just a few words that describe the safecracker and a technical mastermind. Safecracker serves as a morally questionable but highly efficient quote-unquote fundraising expert. She enjoys short walks on pavement, the sound of cable ties being fastened, and testing explosive prototypes under immense pressure. Now we have the man, the legend, Bloody Daryl, who is also a part of the Professionals faction. He wears this cool snake looking mask and he rocks these cool jewelry pieces. His whole outfit just looks cool. Now this is actually how he looked before he became the leader of the Professionals faction, so we will actually come back to him later, but at this time he is the neighborhood psychopath with every sense of the word, and also he's not really Australian according to Australians. And now we have finally made it to the last superior agent, known as Number K, yet another agent of the Professionals. He's really well known for that thing he wears on his head. In his wealth acquisition specialist application form, Number K wrote the letter K in every number field, but his talents with the handgun made him more than qualified for the position. There is actually nothing known about this mysterious person's life because he keeps it private. And now we have finally made it to the master agents, and the first one we're going to talk about is the legend known as Crosswater. I say legend because this guy has been in every single Counter-Strike game since 1.6. Now as an agent he has two skins. One is with him wearing no top and the other one is him wearing a top. I'm really glad that he's still wearing the red bandana. Now his backstory is really interesting because he used to be a former Navy SEAL captain, but then he was captured by the guerrilla warfare in the 90s while he was on a mission in the Middle East. After a botched rescue attempt to cover up, the Navy declared Crosswater as deceased. So after years of imprisonment, he went from a big patriot to hating everything that USA stood for. Newly armed with a severe case of Stockholm syndrome, Crosswater joined the trappers of the guerrilla warfare. Crosswater became the faction's most valuable asset. And next comes Commander May Dead called Jameson, who wears a blue t-shirt with a SWAT uniform. Commander Jameson has just about seen it all. A lot of people could mistake her for being nonchalant about the chaos at hand. They would be very wrong. Nothing gets past dead cold, not bad guys with AKs, junior officers that call her ma'am, or an opportunity to make elite officers smirk under pressure. After that, we have an agent from the Seal Frogman faction again. She is also a commander. The agent I'm talking about is none other than Commander De Vida Goggles Fernandez. She wears this cool diving costume and is one of two elite combat diver SEALs to be awarded the Navy Cross for classified underwater operations. Possessing an exquisite dive reflex, Fernandez is able to slow her heart rate to undetectable levels and navigate darkness, ice, and deep sea defense systems. And also, she is an excellent marksman and a soldier. Fernandez earned her nickname Goggles when a bullet struck her left eye, or would have if it weren't for wet socks reminding her to grab her full kit for the last time. Now who is Wet Socks? Well, he's the next agent and his name is Frank Baroud, and he's also a commander, and well, he also wears the same outfit as Fernandez. Commander Frank is a third generational SEAL and second combat diver ever to receive the Navy Cross medal. Goggles was the first. Count on Frank to solve the most complicated underwater and ground-based conflict situations, like the time he defused several IEDs which were planted in a network of flooded caves beneath the US Embassy. His uncompromising attention to detail earned him the nickname Wet Socks. Now let's come back to the gender mirrored nationality because our next agent is a part of that faction. Her name is Chief Descadron Rocard. She wears a cool armored outfit with a nice hat on. Born into an old aristocratic family, Rocard enlisted in the GN at her first opportunity as a way to avoid a compulsory enrollment at a notorious Swiss finishing school for young women. Roquehart quickly impressed her senior ranks by excelling in the offensive categories and hostage negotiations, but most of all, blade-based combat. Nowadays, Roquehart gets called in when no one else knows what to do, but someone who always seems to know what to do is Mr. Muhlik from the elite crew. First appeared operating as an acquisitions consultant for arms industry magnates, Mr. Muhlik quickly worked his way onto many most wanted lists worldwide. Unconfirmed reports suggest he's the last surviving heir to a recently deposed Middle East monarch. With evidence of elite military training, international private education, and numerous international bank accounts, it's suspected Mr. Muhlik is maneuvering to rebuild power over his family's historic lands, so his backstory is quite cool, because if Valve play their cards right, this could actually be quite a cool operation idea. The next agent is the last one of the guerrilla warfare. Her name is Vipa Sista of the Revolution. She looks like someone I would not want to make mad. I mean, just look at her. A notorious rebel and brilliant improviser, Vipa is one of the 12 sisters born into poverty and left to fend for themselves at the age of 7. Vipa's solo attacks against her country's military dictatorship were so prolific the military assumed her work was the result of a small team of people. Impressed and a little frightened, Crosswater recruited Vipa and her sisters into the faction. Together they now lead all jungle-based missions and government awareness campaigns. Next up, we have an agent who looks like he should be delivering presents to kids and not bombs. I'm talking about the Dr. Romanov from the Saber faction. After expertly smuggling pharmaceuticals across disputed borders for over 30 years, the doctor now leads Saber's utility distribution operations. Of course, his mother says he just mixed up with the wrong crowd. After that, we have Special Agent Ava from the FBI. Initially underestimated, Agent Ava soon became her team's ultimate secret weapon. Special Agent Ava takes pleasure from the simple things: clean wins, cold beer, and turning bad guys into thin crust pizza pies. And now we have finally made it to the final CT agent, who is Lieutenant Commander Ricksaw. Having led more special ops than any other SEAL to date, Ricksaw knows life is short and encourages his team to make the most of the time they have, including cheerfully serving up bullets and frag grenades to high value targets and any and all occasions. And finally, we're coming back to our legend of an agent who is Sir Bloody Daryl. He has 5 different skins, but honestly all look good. Just an all-around great agent skin to have. The leader of the professionals can be described as cocky, wisecracking, and scarily indifferent with regards to the suffering of others. He downplays the severity of any heavy situation that comes his way, even if he's the last man standing, riddled with bullets, with only seconds left to blow the safe. Like this video. Peace!